Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this little heart, which is super cute, and then how to make it a little bit bigger, and then if you want, how to make this puffy heart, which you can either make in sparkly yarn for a Christmas tree ornament, or you can put a key ring on it, or you can do give it as a gift to anyone you want. And I'm going to show you how to do all of these in this one tutorial. So first of all, it will be the smaller one, then I'll tell you how to make it bigger, and then we'll go ahead and make this. Okay, so while I'm getting ready then, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and hopefully you'll be informed when new videos pop up. For this tutorial, I'm using a chunky yarn, and this I think is special chunky, just Stylecraft special chunky from my own stash. And I'm using a 5.5mm crochet hook, pair of scissors, and a sewing up needle. It's very easy, so I'm sure any beginner could tackle this. So just bear with me one moment while I clear this away and we get started. Okay, so for this tutorial, just bear with me. I've got my yarn and my yarn genie. Wool genie? I always call it a yarn genie. It's a wool genie. I'm going to leave a very long tail and make a magic loop. And I'm just going to show you how I do mine. If you've not seen my tutorial, it's mega easy. Just make a loop and then pull the yarn behind and pull it through the loop. Ever so easy. I'll show you again. Make a loop, put the yarn behind and pull it through, and you've done it. I'm going to insert my hook, and into this magic loop I'm going to do 3 chain, and then I'm going to do, in this loop, working over the tail, 4 double trebles. So in the US, that's a treble crochet. So we yarn over twice, go into the loop and pull up another loop. So you've got 4 on your hook. Go yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is a double treble in the UK, or a US treble, and I'm going to do 4 of those. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we've got our 3 chain. I didn't use the stack stitch. If you watch me regularly, you know I usually use a stack stitch, but this does call for the chain. Okay, so I've done 3 chain and 4 double trebles, UK terms, or treble crochet US terms. And I'm going to do 4 UK trebles, which are 4 US double crochets. So that's just yarning over once. All the time working over that tail in the magic loop. Okay, once you've done the 4, I'm going to do another double treble, or treble in the US, in that same space. So this is now the point of our heart. So you can see it's taking on half of a heart shape. Now I'm going to mirror exactly what I've done on the other side. So 4 UK trebles, or US double crochets first off, and now we're going to do our 4 double trebles, or treble crochet US. Last one. And we started with our 3 chain, and we're going to do 3 chain to finish. This is why the chain was important to start with. And then I'm going to slip stitch into my magic loop, but we still want to be working. Let's get that out. We're working over this tail. So we're just going to pull that over to one side, make sure it's out the way. And we're going to slip stitch into that magic ring. Okay, so if you're making this one here, you've finished. All that you have to do now is end off and get hold of this and pull it nice and tightly. It does, if you're working with chunky yarn, sometimes it will leave a bit of a hole, and all you need to do is pull it a little tighter. It just sometimes needs that little bit of extra, without snapping it off completely, needs that little bit of extra persuasion. So now all that you need to do is end off, and you're done with your first one. Okay, so we're going to carry on. So if you can imagine that we haven't tightened this up quite so much, so we can loosen it off a little bit. And move the tail out of the way. Now, get my hook back to normal. So here we are. Here we have, rather, our 3 chain that we started with. And in the first one, I'm just going to make a slip stitch. Actually, my loop's too large on my hook. There we go. We're going to slip stitch. In the second one of those chains, going up the side there, we're just going to, if I can see it very well, it's a bit, there we are, here it is. We're going to do a UK double or a US single crochet. That tail is really starting to annoy me. Okay, it's only because I'm holding it in a different way where I'm, doing it on camera. And in this third one, we're going to do a half treble or a half double in the US. So basically, we've done a slip stitch, and then we've done a double UK US single, and now we've done a half treble, half double in the UK. So now we've got our 4 stitches, our first 4 double trebles or treble US. We're going to do 2 half trebles. I'm going to call them half trebles, even though they're half doubles to you guys across the pond. We're going to do 2 in each of those 4. Okay, that's the last one where we're increasing. Now we're going to, in the next 4 stitches, which are our UK trebles or US doubles, we're going to just put 1 in each of those 4. Whoops, does help if yarn over. And now we're back at the point. So we're going to do a UK treble or a US double crochet in that point. And now we're going to mirror exactly again what we did that side. So we're going to do 4 on their own. So just 1 in the next 4. In the next 4, we're placing 2. So we're increasing just like we did on the other side. Don't worry if it starts to cup a little bit, that's fine. Okay, so now we're at the 3 chain again, and on the first one, we're going to do 1 half treble, half double, just as before. In the middle one, we are back to mirroring exactly what's the other side, so a UK double or US single. And in our last one, we are going to, if we can get it in, we're just going to slip stitch down there. That's it. Now, if you were making this one, you are done. So all that you have to do now is end off sewing your ends and pull this little guy tight. Okay, that's it. You're done. But, well, I've forgotten one step. Now that we have got to the bottom, you need to also slip stitch into this bottom stitch here, just so that you've anchored it off. Okay, so now I'm going to just end off. I'm going to leave, if you're sewing these together for our last one, a mega long tail for sewing. Okay, so we'll pull that out, mega long tail for sewing in, and we can now move these out of the way, pull on this one to make it nice and tight, and we'll sew it in. So then we get our darning needle and thread that up. Some people just do it really nice and simply. It always doesn't really work for me, so I have a little struggle each time. Okay, so now we've got it nice and tight. It doesn't have to be ridiculously tight. We can just secure it. So this is not going to be seen for me, so I'm going to just make a knot with my yarn, and then I'm going to bury that. This is the wrong side of my work that I'm working with. Just going to bury that into my center, going in all of these stitches. Doesn't have to go all the way around. Okay, we're going to snip that off. If you're sewing them together to make this squishy one, of course you don't even really need to sew them, like to end them off. So there we are. We've got a little hole, but it doesn't really matter too much. I'm going to show you how we put these together. So here we have two then. This was my big one that I made before, and now I put them together. So I get my large end and thread this up. Now I made two of these, and I will show you the difference for them. This was the first one that I did, and although it looks okay, I thought it looked a tad untidy because I sewed them in a different way to this one, which does look cleaner, I think. It does help if I show you, doesn't it? There we are. This one looks a little bit more raggedy around the edge than this one. So this is by far the best. So this is the method I'm going to show you how I did this. Okay, so my yarn is attached to the one behind, and you want them so that the right sides are facing out, because this is how we're working now. We are just working right side. Normally when you sew things, you sew them wrong side, but we're doing the right side. So what we want to do is over sew or whip stitch our two together. So you want to get the corresponding stitch on either side. Now this does get a bit fiddly working up this area here with our yarn and all of the shape of the heart. So it helps to pop it behind like that. So you just get the corresponding stitch. Make sure you go through the 2 loops of each. Otherwise it looks a little raggedy, as I showed you earlier. So yeah, you're going through the 2 loops and the 2 loops, and you go near enough all the way around our heart. You don't want to go all the way around because we're going to stuff it. Okay. Now you can be creative with how you stuff. See what I mean? It gets a little bit fiddly. Now you don't want it mega tight so that it distorts the shape, but obviously you want it snug so that it's not, things can't burst out. So you can get creative with how you make your stuffing. I've not been creative in the slightest of how I made it, but you can make a little heart shape. You can sew it. You can do all sorts. You can use it wadding or whatever, but I'll show you what I've used at the end. It's nice and simple. I like things that are nice and simple. Okay, so we're going round. It is a little bit boring, I guess, watching me do this. So I'm going to pause it. But basically you're going into the corresponding stitch of the previous one, so making sure you go through the 2 loops and that the points match up. And when I want you to go all the way around until you get to about here, leaving this part here open, and I'll come right back to you once I've got there. Okay, so I'm there. Now, what I have done with both of these is I grabbed this yarn because, I don't adjust. My genie is going to spin like crazy. I just did this. I had a chunk of it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can just have it all kind of, doesn't need to be. In fact, the more raggedy the better, to be honest with you. I don't know how big we want it, so let's just, about this much, say. I'm just going to poke that in. Stuff that in. And the beauty of using is in the same yarn is that it's not going to show. Wadding may show, and you just manipulate it and need a bit more. You can always put a bit more or take a bit out. It's perfectly cool. Depends how stuffed you want it. Right, let's just pop that in. Maybe too much? No, that's about right, I think. Okay, so there's our end. The rest of this needs to go in. Okay, so once you've finished, of course, you can move that about and push it up to the bit that is the end. So we keep going to close all of our heart. Careful to go through the 2 loops as well on the bit going down the side, because we want it to look nice and, what's the word? Neat, that's the word. So we need to pull it apart. That needs to go in. We go all the way to the bottom of our heart, and then we don't cut it off, in case you're running ahead of me, because we've not really finished yet. Okay, so now we're at the bottom. We want to make sure that the 2 halves are sewn together. They look like they are. We'll just put one more in there, so we're at the very bottom. Okay, that's all. That's nice. I'm going to take the needle out, and we're going to put our hook back in. We'll clean that bit up in a sec. Okay, so now we're going to pull up a loop, and we're going to do this bit. Now, you don't have to do this bit, of course. You can end off, you can bury your tail, and you can put anything you want here. You can put ribbon, sparkly doodads, anything you want. I'm going to show you how I've done this. I've left a nice long tail just for this reason. So I'm going to make a chain. I'm going to cinch it very low, as low as I can get it. And I'm going to make a chain, cinch it down. And this is how I make cords with crochet, because it makes a very tight looking kind of plait. And I like that cord. And I did 30. You see, if I show you, it does make a very tight looking, looks like a plait, very tight. I don't know how many I've done. I've lost count. I can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 13, 14. Okay, so we'll call that it. You can make this as long as you want, obviously. It doesn't have to be 30 in length. But then all we need to do is sew in our end. See what I mean? This never, other people just poke it in. It just likes to make me look silly. Okay, so we're going to sew that in. Make sure that that is there. Okay, so you want to bury that as far down as you can. I'm going to make a loop, just as we did before, like a little knot. You do that by getting your loop and then going through the loop, pulling it tight, and then you can just bury this cord inside. Go all the way to the end, pull it out, and if you pull down a little bit and cut, that will just disappear inside. And now we've got our little tie, and all we've got to do now is manipulate our yarn to be evenly spread around the heart. But there you go, that's it. You can make it out of sparkly yarn for Christmas decorations, or you can make key rings. You can make them red for Valentine's Day or whenever you want. But that's how we did it. So we've made our small one first, our larger one second, and our padded one at the end. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll let you know when there are new videos. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye for now.